Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. So I attended a conference a few weeks ago, and one of the things I learned from that conference is that God is not impressed with big things. You cannot really impress God with big things, flashy car, big house, $1 million. You cannot really impress God. As a matter of fact, God is the God who values faithfulness over big things, over trying to impress him with the big things. First of all, the reason why I believe you can't really impress God with big things is because he made everything. God created everything. The Bible said in the book of Psalms 24, it said, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and everything that's in it. So God made everything. So really, even though you've accomplished a lot, even though you have a big house, you have a big car, God has blessed you, you are prosperous, those things don't really impress God. But there is something that God really value above, impressing him with big things is faithfulness. And when Jesus talked about faithfulness, he talked about faithfulness in the little things, in the little things. So one thing I learned many years ago is that if I can just do the little things well, then I can be rest assured that God is pleased because Jesus was the one that made the statement. He said, "He that is faithful in the little will also be faithful in much." So, the little that God has given you right now, the little that God has committed into your hand, what are you doing with it? Are you faithful with it? Or are you trying to wait for that big day when you get a big break and have that big success and you think, oh, this will really impress God? No. Be faithful in the little things. It is the little things that you do every day that would eventually lead to the big thing. But guess what? People will see that big thing and they will think, oh, wow, this is a big thing. But that big thing is a collection of many, many little things that you've done over the years and you've been faithful in doing so well. So the Bible said, don't despise days of small beginnings. He said God delights in that. It delights to see that the work begins. It delights to see the work starts. So what are you doing with a little? What is that little thing that God has given you? You know, a good story in the book of, I believe, First or Second Kings is the story of that widow who went to the prophet and said to prophet, they say, hey, my husband is dead and he holds some money and the creditors are coming. They're coming to take my sons because my husband wasn't able to pay the debt before he died. And she said, I have nothing at home. That's what she said to the prophet. She said, I don't have anything. And if I don't pay them, they're going to take my sons away from me. And the prophet said, what do you have in your house? She said, I have nothing but a jar of oil. He said, that's all I have. A jar of oil is what I have in my house. Just a little jar. Nothing more, nothing else. Just a jar of oil. And the prophet said, you know what? That's enough. Gave her some instructions on what to do. Tell her to go borrow empty vessels. Tell her to shut the door behind her and start to pour that little jar into the empty vessels she had borrowed. And the Bible recorded that she filled all the empty vessels with the same little jar of oil that she had at the beginning. So don't despise the little that God has given you. One thing I've realized is the fact that some things that come so easy to you, that you do so well, somebody else is struggling to do the same thing. So it's very easy to be comparing yourself with somebody else and say, oh, I'm not as good as that other person. But what are you doing with the little God has given you? Because you never know how that little can become big if only you can be faithful with it. So don't spend time comparing yourself, with other people. God has given us all different gifts and talents and is giving us in different measures. Some have two, some have five, some have one. If all you've got is one, guess what? You can be faithful with that one and trust God to multiply that one, to use that one to be a blessing to everyone around you. So in closing, don't try to do big things. Don't be looking for big things and big things. I want to do big things, thinking that if you do those big things, you will really be impressing God. You cannot really impress him. God made all the big things. But if you really want to touch the heart of God, it's by being faithful in the little things that comes your way. Those little opportunities that God brings your way, to be nice to somebody, to be kind, to help somebody, to pray for somebody, those little things, and God sees that you are doing it well, then God said, I can trust you with the big things. I really hope this was an encouragement to you. If you were blessed, please share it with somebody else. And if you're not yet subscribed, make sure you click the link below and subscribe to this channel. And I will see you next time. God bless you.